Senator from South Dakota.
Mr. President, we're going to have the opportunity to vote today to reverse course. I think most people agree that Obamacare is not working out as it's intended. In fact, there are members on the other side. We had a Democrat recently say that when it comes to implementation of Obamacare, it's a train wreck. Now, whether you believe it's a train wreck, which is what I happen to believe, or whether it's a slow motion derailment, it is time for us to reverse course. We have an opportunity to go in a different direction with the vote that we're going to have here in about an hour on whether or not to defund Obamacare. And I think that the overwhelming opinion across this country, an overwhelming number of Americans believe that this is not working. It's hurting middle-class families. It is costing us jobs. It is driving up health insurance premiums for people across this country. And we need to do something to reverse course. So if you look at how this impacts or average people in my state of South Dakota, and I'll use that as an example, you've got young people today who, when they look at what they're paying in terms of health insurance premiums this year and what they're going to pay under the exchanges when the exchanges kick in, and this is some analysis that was done by the Manhattan Institute, said that a healthy 30-year-old in South Dakota is going to be looking at, if you're a woman, a 223% premium increase as a result of Obamacare. If you're a young man, and I use a 30-year-old again in South Dakota as an example of this, you're going to be facing a 393% premium increase. When you compare the data that is being put out by the Department of Health and Human Services with what people in my state of South Dakota are paying today for similar coverage. And I'm using the bronze plan under the exchanges as a case in point. So for a young person in South Dakota, you're talking about $1,500 more a year to pay for health insurance if you are a woman, and $2,000 a year more if you're a man. This money is money that could be used to pay off student loans, save for a home, maybe start a family. And it's not just young adults that are going to be faced with making tough budget decisions between having health care and paying for other items. We know also that families are seeing health care premiums skyrocket since the President took office by about $3,000. By about $2,500 since Obamacare became law. And that's happening at a time, Mr. President, when average household income is going down. If you look at the average household income since the President took office, it's down by about $3,600. So families are seeing health insurance premiums go up by $3,000, average household income going down by $3,600. As you can see, middle-class families in this country are being squeezed from both ends. Well, we have an opportunity to correct that. And today, Mr. President, is a vote. It's going to be on defunding Obamacare. I've been a big advocate for delaying, defunding, replacing, repealing. When it comes to this issue, count me as one of all of the above. Anything we can do to get rid of this bad law and the harmful impacts that it's having on the American people. The vote today is going to be on defunding. And I would dare say that every Republican in this chamber, all 46 Republicans, will be casting a vote to defund Obamacare. There isn't a single Republican in the chamber today or when this vote was cast, when this law was passed back in 2009, that voted for it. And since that time, we've had numerous votes, I think 29 or 30 votes here in the United States Senate on repealing all or parts of Obamacare. So everybody here is going to be on the record today in favor of defunding this bad law. All it will take is 5 Democrats. 5 Democrats to get us to the 51 votes necessary to change the direction, change the course, turn this train around and head it in a different direction. Mr. President, Republicans are going to be united on that point. There's sometimes a difference of opinion on tactics about the best way to reach the goal. But one thing that unites all Republicans is the goal, and that is doing away with this bad law and its impact, harmful impact on the American people, on middle-class families, on jobs, and on our economy. The question before the House is, are there going to be Democrats, a handful of Democrats, 5 is all it takes, to stand with Republicans today and help us defund this law? Nearly 60% of Americans say they oppose Obamacare. We can stop it. We can stop it. We can start over, get a do-over, if you will, and do this the right way. And we've talked about many times, Mr. President, the things that we would do differently if we had the opportunity to write a law that actually would address the health care challenges that people face in this country, that would create greater competition in the marketplace by allowing people to buy insurance across state lines, by allowing groups, small businesses, to join larger groups and pools so they get the benefit of group purchasing power, by reducing the cost of defensive medicine, by ending a lot of the junk lawsuits that clog up the system today, by allowing people to have a refundable tax credit where they can buy their own health insurance and they have more choice, more competition. These are all approaches, Mr. President, that we think make sense and would provide a positive alternative to the American people that wouldn't cost us the jobs, that wouldn't be driving up health insurance premiums by 393% for a 30-year-old man in the state of South Dakota, or 223% for a 30-year-old woman, and that would give American families an opportunity to save more for their future, to provide for their families, and hopefully to invest in what is a better and a more prosperous future for their children and grandchildren. So that's the vote before us today, Mr. President. Again, I don't think belabor the point when it comes to the harmful impacts this has had. If you look at what it's doing to jobs, if you look at what it's doing to employers, we talk to people all the time. I don't doubt there's a member here in the United States Senate who, when they go home to their states on weekends, doesn't have conversations with small businesses, with employers who are talking about what this is doing to their ability to create jobs, to put people to work, to raise salaries, to make sure that the people that they employ have a better future for their families. But clearly, as long as this bad law stays in place, it is going to be more expensive and more difficult for businesses in this country to create jobs. It is going to be more difficult, more expensive for middle-class families to make ends meet. And it is going to create a much bigger, more expansive government that is going to cost the American taxpayer way more than I think was originally promised, and certainly is going to add significantly the massive amount of debt that we're passing on to future generations. We have an opportunity to get a do-over today. There's been the talk during the implementation of this that it's got glitches and bumps and inaccuracies and malfunctions. Well, this isn't ready for prime time. I think we can all acknowledge that. At a minimum, we ought to figure out a way to delay this and change course, change direction, and go in a better direction for America's future. Mr. President, I yield the floor.